It was a year of first-ever championships for some, while other teams repeated, and still others repeated, and repeated, and repeated. It was the year owners and players fiddled, while fans burned.
Ball hammers it to deep right center field. Way back, good God, and the Indians win it.
Won't forget these days. Won't forget these days. And I never thought I would. Won't forget these days. Won't forget these days.
Montana looking right, firing a pass that a leaping grab, Willie Davis, touchdown Montana Magic.
Line to right center, hanging, diving, oh baby, what a catch!
Some stars said goodbye when they were good and ready, while others left the scene before their time. Perhaps we'll best remember this as the year Agassi met with ecstasy, the year the world came to America, and for that one last chance lap that finally made a winner of the kid from Wisconsin.
Murray going in! He scored!
And I never thought I would. Won't forget these days.
Yes, we remember it well. "28 teams, 235 games. How many miles of bandages?
Freddie broke his nose. That's what's the matter when he broke his nose. He never had a good nose anyways.
Throws on the run. He got his own deflection, and he's down to the 2-yard line.
How you doing? Sorry, got in the season a little bit late. But I think we can put this thing together, go on and win it all.
Run right through the back of him. I mean, run right through the middle and out the back.
I enjoy hitting. Only thing I wanted to be known when I left the league is a big hitter. I'd rather see somebody laid out on the ground. I don't know why, than an interception. I would rather knock someone out.
Back to pass. The pocket fumbles. Elway pitch hit.
How many leaping, pulling it from the sky catches?
Holy smokes! What a play!
How many dodging, pounding rushes to daylight?
And they shed that guy like it was a Tootsie fly.
The numbers multiply, divide, and finally subtract all but 2 from a trip to the Super Bowl. The final week of the regular season offered one game for higher stakes than all the rest when the Dallas Cowboys came to play the New York Giants.
This is our house, baby. This is our house. 60 minutes. 60 minutes, the biggest game ever.
A win meant a divisional title, a week off, and home field advantage through the playoffs.
That game, it was so much on the line. So much on the line. I mean, that game was a key to us being successful in the playoff.
41 yards, good snap. The hold is up. The kick's on the way.
That's it. He made it.
And the Cowboys win. What a great game.
And the Giants, with Phil Simms, came within an overtime period against Dallas of winning home field advantage through the playoffs. Then who knows what could have happened.
Over in the AFC, the Buffalo Bills were gunning for their 4th consecutive Super Bowl appearance. But Joe Montana was looking for a repeat performance of his own and redemption. It looked like a dream game was shaping up in Atlanta, Joe leading his new team against the 49ers that rejected him.
A young Montana matchup against fairly porous defenses. It would have been a Super Bowl for the ages.
the general public probably did want to see a Montana-Young matchup, and had we not have made it, then I would have loved to have seen that matchup as well.
Kansas City met the NFL's hottest team in Houston. The Oilers closing out the regular season with 11 straight victories, some said due to Buddy Ryan's defense.
The fun thing about playing against Buddy Ryan is that he's going to get a guy that's just going to keep coming after you and after you and after you until you prove that you can beat him at that. But in the end, if we can make one or two big plays, then that's going to be the key to the game.
He's in for a touchdown!
For that guy to have the presence of mind to spike the biggest catch of his life right into Buddy Ryan's snout, I mean, it was just perfect.
Kansas City went on to whip the Oilers 28-20 before falling in Buffalo. Montana knocked out of the game in a 30-13 loss.
Montana, who's down?
He's down.
Montana is down.
He was hit hard, and he's holding his head as if maybe he's dazed a bit.
And the 49ers met with ruin in a 38-21 Dallas win that set up the Super Bowl rematch.
And a handoff to Smith coming right behind. Easy touchdown, Emmitt Smith. Whoa, woof.
So once again, it was America's team against America's nightmare. But if the Bills were thinking about their annual appointment with failure, they weren't showing it. For a while, it looked like these Bills were due.
The kick is on the way. This one is sailing, and it is good.
I thought Jim did an outstanding job in the first half of being patient and coming underneath to his secondary receivers and really taking what the defense was giving them.
Buffalo played us in the first half by the best as they could possibly have played us. Unfortunately, there is two halves of a game.
It's off to Thurman, and they grab him, and he fumbles the ball, and it is picked up by the Cowboys. They run it back to the 35, the 30, down to the 20-yard line, in the clear, at the 15, down to the 10, down to the 5, and in for the touchdown goes James Washington.
The fumble really kind of broke their back.
It definitely sparked the fire in our team and also opened our eyes.
Eyes open and legs turning, Smith contributed the Cowboys' longest drive of the game, accounting for 61 of 64 yards and a touchdown, and a 20-13 Dallas lead.
We ran probably two plays that whole time, and it just worked perfectly. And sometimes I didn't even follow my blocks. I just ran and just ran.
Touchdown, Emmitt Smith!
James Washington came up with another huge play to open the final quarter.
Pressure over the middle. The ball is intercepted by James Washington. Where did he come from? He stepped in.
There was plenty of time left, but the Bills were done. Despite Washington's heroics, Emmitt Smith earned Most Valuable Player honors.
How sweet it is.
While his Buffalo counterpart, Thurman Thomas, agonized, feeling that he had cost his team the game. For an unprecedented fourth consecutive year, the curtain descended on another tragedy for the Bills and their fans. This was the year it was supposed to be different.
I don't know. We'll just have to see. We got the same number of losses.
This was the year that would finally settle this who's number one thing once and for all.
And we beat this team to beat Notre Dame, to beat Florida State.
This was the year it turned out all wrong yet again.
I think that we ought to be national champion.
Most other sports, we have a hard and fast answer at the end of the season. College football is unique because we get to argue it for the next year.
Trouble, dumps it off, and it is caught for a touchdown.
Every college football season ends with the promise of a new year and the hangover of unresolved endings. This season's unfinished business started in South Bend, Indiana, in a little contest they decided to call the Game of the Century.
The ball is loose, and Notre Dame has it. He dives for a touchdown.
Outplayed for most of 3 quarters, somehow Florida State still had a chance to win with 3 seconds left.
Knocked away. Sean Wooden. Notre Dame wins 31-24.
The celebration was over only a week later when 17th-ranked Boston College stunned the newly anointed #1 despite a late Irish surge.
Touchdown, Dawson!
They managed a miracle. You know, they managed an absolute, unthinkable, unforeseeable miracle.
The new year began in anticlimactic fashion in the Rose, Sugar, and Fiesta Bowls. But over in the Cotton Bowl, Notre Dame squeaked past a stubborn Texas A&M, maintaining their claim to the national title. All the Irish could do now was wait for the outcome of the Orange Bowl.
And down he goes at the 30.
All the great athletes were supposed to be on the Florida State side of the field. Well, there was one great athlete on Nebraska's side of the field, and his name was Trev Alberts.
Play action and hit from behind by Alberts.
He went after Charlie Ward like Charlie Ward hadn't seen all year.
Nebraska led 16-15 with just over a minute to play.
They threw a lot of different things at us, and we weren't able to pick them up, but I knew I had to do something to pull us through.
In the open field to Dunn. Anderson can't get him, and Dunn is out of bounds, and a flag goes down. Oh, my.
2 Cornhusker penalties left the ball on the Nebraska 3, setting up freshman Scott Bentley's field goal and an apparent Seminoles victory.
He's got it.
But Florida State coach Bobby Bowden had left too much time on the clock, and Nebraska's Tom Osborne took advantage.
And Bell tackled with 1 second to go. No, they didn't stop the clock soon enough.
Despite a premature celebration by the Seminoles, Nebraska still had one more chance for victory.
There's 2 seconds left for Nebraska, and certainly the game was not over.
Oh, what agony for both of these coaches.
And he hooked and left. Florida State wins.
So for the second time that night, Florida State won its first national title.
You know, then we come to find out that a number of Florida State players were involved in accepting some goods and perks that aren't permitted to college football players. They're confronted with some potential very serious violations of NCAA rules.
Heisman Trophy winner and All-American Charlie Ward wisely steered clear of any involvement but remains affected by the aftermath.
Florida State can't take the blame for certain individuals, even though they attend that school. Every person should be accountable for their own actions.
I think that people view it as a tainted title.
You didn't know what to expect.
We'd win 2 games and maybe drop 2 spots in the poll.
It was a crazy, crazy brew that we drank from.
How crazy a season was it? Indiana coach Bobby Knight headbutted his own player. Wise old Temple Owl John Chaney threatened homicide against his counterpart from UMass. On the court, it was just as hard to make sense of things. It seemed as though everyone got to try the #1 ranking on for size, although some enjoyed the fit for only a week. This year's NCAA tournament was wide open.
It's called March Madness, and it's crazy.
Right from the tip-off, it was time to round up the usual upsets. But it was over in the East bracket where Boston College really put the madness into March, shocking the #1 seed defending champion North Carolina.
Wallace with a 3. Not the one that Dean Smith wanted to take the shot. BC is a winner.
The Eagles would pull off another stunner, sending Bobby Knight's Hoosiers home early. In a battle of the baggiest trunks in college basketball, Arkansas beat Michigan to advance to Charlotte, much to the delight of their #1 fan. And Coach Mike Krzyzewski led his Blue Devils into the Final Four once again, his 3rd championship game in 4 years.
We're playing them in their backyard, and they've already been there many times. And I'm saying to myself, can we win this thing all the way?
We knew that Arkansas would come after us defensively very hard. They were deeper and a little bit more athletic, more physical than we were.
Beautiful block by Hawks. Grant Hill fell right on his bump.
He has to come out of the game or Mike Krzyzewski has to call a timeout.
Grant Hill got up off the carpet and continued to play just about as well as he could.
Lang open.
Beautiful passing by Hill.
The Hogs quickly asserted themselves, executing all facets of their game and working the ball inside to Corliss Williamson.
When we were able to make some shots, the floor opened a little bit better. And as the floor opened, Corliss becomes very dangerous. And it's very difficult to pay attention to guys when you got to pay attention to Corliss Williamson.
Arkansas went into the locker room ahead, but it was Duke that went on an offensive tear at the start of the second half.
Backing him in, and Hill stripped it away. 3-on-1 Duke to Lang.
And this is a little bit shocking to the Arkansas players.
Timeout Razorbacks.
That timeout served a good purpose because, see, the fear of losing is better than the confidence of winning. And then that's when we were able to say, let's press, let's get the ball, and let's play some hog ball.
Rebound to Stewart. Here's Dillard now. His foul.
Over the next 9 minutes, the Hogs outscored the Blue Devils 21-6, led by a defense that forced higher turnovers and wore down Duke's key players, especially All-American Grant Hill.
Grant just got beaten down. Arkansas kept alternating very good defensive players, physical players on him.
I think it took its toll on Grant.
Despite his fatigue, Hill managed one last great effort.
Now he goes for the tie. 70-70, 1:20 to go.
Knowing that he's so tired, I thought it was one of the great plays he's had at Duke. I just didn't think he was capable of hitting a shot like that. When he did, I thought we were going to win.
A swarming Duke defense forced the Hogs to work the ball around for an opening, finally ending up in the hands of Scotty Thurman.
The shot clock, Thurman beat it. Oh, he got it, three-pointer.
Huge arch on that. He had to do it to get it over Lang's hands.
Whether they blocked the shot or he didn't get it off, Scotty was just going to take the shot.
Great defense, Arkansas. They take it away. McDaniel will end it in style. Arkansas is in hog heaven. They've won the first ever national championship.
Corliss Big Nasty Williamson voted the Final Four's most outstanding player and led Arkansas to its first national title. Maybe the sanest result of this crazy college basketball season. In a hockey season of unusual grace and style, when Gretzky surpassed Gordy for greatness, when many an opposing goalie withered under the Rockets' red glare, when the NHL emerged as more than a Mickey Mouse League, events in Anaheim notwithstanding, there was no bigger story than the Rangers' mission to outskate a history of curses, superstition, and heartache. These Stanley Cup playoffs served up a healthy share of heartbreak for everybody. Buffalo forced a 7th game against the Devils with a 1-0 win in quadruple overtime, only to fall in Game 7. Calgary got off to a 3-1 series lead against Vancouver and then lost the final 3 games, all in overtime. Meanwhile, the Rangers stormed through the first 2 rounds before having a devil of a time.
And we ran into New Jersey, and it was a battle from there.
After what sometimes seemed like 54 years of overtime hockey, how do the Rangers face their 3rd double overtime of the series with a sense of purpose?
Matteau swoops in to intercept. Matteau behind the net. Swings it in front. He scores! Matteau! Stefan Matteau! And the Rangers have one more hill to climb, baby!
Those were unbelievable games.
Over in the Western Conference, the Vancouver Canucks continue to surprise everybody thanks to an immovable object in front of the net and an unstoppable force behind the puck. Kurt McLean and Pavel Bure had led their unlikely team to the finals. Having already beaten the best the NHL had to offer, surely New York had all but won the cup. You gotta believe, you gotta be kidding, these were still, after all, the New York Rangers.
Craig Adams scored! The Vancouver Canucks have won it in overtime, 3-2!
Game 4 briefly became a showcase for 2 of the best talents in hockey.
The other players were beginning to melt into the background. It really was, it was Bure and Leach. They were transcendent.
Leach looking for help, comes to center, Bure! Pavel Bure! Hooked down! Will it be a penalty shot? Yes!
Bure picked up the puck, and somehow Brian was the first guy back to get a hold of him, but I didn't expect anybody to catch him.
Fastest guy in the league gets a couple steps on me, and he's gone, and I just had to haul him down somehow.
There never has been a penalty shot goal in the Stanley Cup.
Bure has got to be unrivaled in terms of speed.
One of the fastest players in the league, just absolutely explosive.
I think he has an unparalleled burst.
He's a guy, as a goaltender, you really have to keep your eyes on.
He's literally the last guy you want to be facing on a penalty shot.
Here comes Bure against Mike Richter. Saved by Richter!
The key thing with him is speed, and I just tried to match that speed as well as possible.
The Rangers went on to a 4-2 win and a 3-1 series lead.
He fakes, come on, score!
The Rangers had their first ever opportunity to win the cup on home ice in Game 5, but finally fell in a wild 3rd period that tied a Stanley Cup Finals record with 8 goals scored.
Rebound, Pavel Bure! It is 6-3 Vancouver!
A tired New York team faltered in Vancouver, and the Rangers were forced to play one more game. Ahead 3-2, New York found the Canucks dominating play in the Rangers' zone for the final 5 minutes. Finally, the clock ticked off the last remaining seconds of the Rangers' cursed legacy.
By Larmer, another icing call. Yes, no, they wave it, they whistle it. 1.1 left, it is not over.
It certainly seemed to me that the game was over, and Brian and I looked at each other, and he said, "Do you believe it? We won the cup."
I put a big bear hug on him, and I feel someone else jump on me, and I'm waiting for this big pile of people to knock me over.
That was it. There's no one else around, and everybody else is on the bench getting ready for the icing that was just called.
0.6 on the clock. Here it is. The waiting is over. The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup champions.
why you put the skates on when you're a little kid. It's something you dream about all the time.
The U.S. beating Colombia actually made America part of the World Cup and not just a host.
I think the World Cup has galvanized America to believe that soccer is a real sport.
It wasn't so long ago when basketball was about finesse, style, and grace. A different game emerged this year, one that sometimes bore little resemblance to its past. But a game with occasional flashes of brilliance and, yes, even style.
First time in about 15 years, there was no great star that kind of transcended the game. No Magics coming down and making no-look passes. There was no one gliding to the basket. There weren't as many Jordans out there.
When you thought of Chicago with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, you thought of grace and elegance and style. You think of the New York Knicks, you think of bruising defense.
Not even the Knicks' vaunted defense could hold off a runaway Rockets team in an early season preview of the championship series. New York was Houston's 15th straight victim as the Rockets won 22 of their first 23 out of the gate. By the time April rolled around, the Seattle Supersonics had the league's best record. But while the Bulls, Pacers, and Suns all swept their first-round opponents, Seattle was shocked at home by a Denver team that had finished just 2 games over 500. That left home court advantage to the Rockets, who quickly returned the favor by squandering their first 2 home games against the Suns before taking the series in 7. In the East, the Bulls appear to have everything needed to oust the Knicks except leadership, a flaw highlighted when Scottie Pippen refused to come out for the final seconds of Game 3.
Scottie Pippen sitting out the last 1.8 seconds in Game 3 was, I think, kind of a defining moment for the Bulls. Deserting your teammates in those last few seconds is probably the cardinal sin in team sports, and I don't think he'll ever live that down.
Interesting, Pippen is not on the floor here. Kukoc gets it, and it's all over! Despite the dramatic victory, the Bulls fell in 7 games, a loss that left many wondering what might have been with a man named Michael in the lineup. Led by a flamboyant Reggie Miller, the Pacers put their small-town team on the map in another hard-fought series for the Knicks.
At the beginning of the 4th quarter, I hit a long 3 with Starks right on me, and I knew then that if I can continue to be aggressive, that good things were going to happen for me.
Reggie Miller doesn't need much time to get a shot off, and he works on his shot all kind of ways, flying off on 1 foot, throw it up, not looking at it going.
Nothing you can do. Basically just sit back and watch him do his thing, and that night right there, he did his thing.
But it was Patrick Ewing who did his thing in the final game.
Ewing's dunk was the final nail in the coffin for the Pacers, and it was really the crowning moment in that series for both Ewing and for the Knicks.
Houston's 5-game win over the Jazz set the stage for another battle between two of the premier big men in the league.
Patrick and I have been a rivalry from college. I lost to him 10 years ago. That's like a dream matchup, playing a championship game with your rival, your best competition.
The Rockets established the pace in Game 1. But the Knicks backcourt recovered from a night of horrendous shooting to take the home court advantage back to New York for Game 3.
We know that New York is a physical and a very good defensive team. So we have to be patient on offense, take good shots.
With all the focus on the Olajuwon Ewing matchup, a mere rookie would for a moment at least rise to eclipse both stars.
Here's Gasol for three.
I think the whole building knew that Akeem was going to get the ball at that particular time. The Knicks left me open at the top of the key. I just took the open shot, and I made the open shot.
The Knicks' physical play finally took its toll in Games 4 and 5.
We just went reckless on the boards. We was getting second, third, and fourth shots and fumbling, and we getting all loose balls. And I think that made the biggest difference.
And the Rockets returned home facing elimination. New York's erratic backcourt was clicking again. John Starks carried the team with inspired play and three-point bombs. But a mental lapse by Starks cost the Knicks a chance to tie.
Foul by Ewing. The Knicks are over the limit.
On the final play, Starks had one last chance to win it all.
It was a play for me to get the ball and either take it to the basket or go for the win. And my whole attitude was I was going to go for the win.
I was so nervous. I put my head in the palm of my hands. I couldn't watch the play.
Starks for three, came up short. And it will go to a 7th and decisive game.
And I was very happy just to be around the ball. Barely touch it, but that was good enough.
The epitaph of Game 7, live by the bomb, die by the bomb.
By Kenny Smith. John Starks for three.
Starks could not find the stroke, yet he continued to fire away.
Starks is now 1 for 13.
Usually when I come in big games, I have butterflies because it keeps me on my toes. And I came in that game without butterflies and just totally too relaxed and just didn't go out and play the game. My teammates did their job. I just didn't do my job.
Starks again for three.
The Knicks, very often when they don't shoot well, rebound well. The Rockets did a good job of keeping the Knicks off the boards. Once that happened, I think the Knicks were in big trouble.
Greg Anthony's three-pointer brought the Knicks within 3. But when Kenny Smith and Vernon Maxwell replied in kind, it was all over for New York. Olajuwon added championship MVP to his Defensive Player of the Year and regular season MVP laurels to stand alone in history. His long journey ended amidst the fanfare of Houston's first ever championship parade. In a year when the chest bump replaced the high five, when the Heisman Trophy winner was selected in the NBA draft but not the NFL, we were reminded that every sports year leaves us with its share of head-scratching moments. Michael Jordan began the year believing he could play baseball. As the Bulls headed north, Jordan headed south of the Mendoza line. The spirit is willing, but that slider is still tough to hit. Tanya Harding cast her own bizarre version of The Bodyguard. After months of Nancy and Tanya and Gillooly and Eckhart and Stan, America's great national nightmare mercifully ended when Oksana Bayul cried over her goal. Just in time, there was Jordan chasing another dream on the slopes at Lillehammer. Two famous child stars of the 70s squared off when the Partridge Family's Danny Bonaducci outpointed Donny Osmond in the oddest match this side of Michael and Lisa Marie. Jordan suffered another disappointment as the Blackhawks fell in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. As if the NBA postseason wasn't ugly enough, Madonna set her sights on San Antonio's spur of the moment, Dennis Rodman. Would they produce a material worm? The playoffs couldn't have been further from Michael Jordan's mind as he tried his hand at World Cup soccer. Cincinnati owner Marge Schott told an engrossed audience only fruits wear earrings. The LA Dodgers responded by showing up at Riverfront Stadium sporting the latest in fashion accessories and pasted the Reds 10-3 and 6-4. As the NFL opened training camp, the Bears welcomed Michael for yet another job opportunity. Jimmy Johnson won his second straight Super Bowl and then left the Cowboys. Mike Keenan brought the Rangers to their first Stanley Cup in 54 years and then fled to St. Louis. Carlos Alberto Pereira coached Brazil to the World Cup and then quit. Maybe it's a good thing for some baseball managers somewhere that there was no World Series to be played in this oddest of sports years.
Somebody somewhere feels that we won't stick to our guns, and it's just not going to happen.
The only thing that we have insisted on is that there be an economic system in baseball which permits the owners to know what it's going to cost them to play ball.
I think we saw systems similar to that in a European country where a wall fell down and it didn't work.
We can talk about the history and the agony and the torture of all this. All that's true, but it doesn't mean anything anymore.
To me, I just picked a bad year to have a good year.
Griffey and Thomas, Bell and Bagwell, Matt Williams, Tony Gwynn, the Yankees in Cleveland, the Expos, and even the Texas Rangers all called out on a single strike. Early in the season, such a calamity was unthinkable. What many considered the greatest collection of young stars in decades was chasing some of baseball's most luminous records and each other.
I was really excited about what Matt Williams was doing, Ken Griffey Jr. and Jeff Bagwell were doing.
They're terrific, and I think they press one another. Ken Griffey is chasing Frank Thomas, or Frank Thomas is chasing Albert Bell. Jeff Bagwell has Matt Williams to shoot for.
Hey, we're going to push each other to the limit, and that's what happened this season. It was a beautiful thing.
Beautiful? Not if you're a pitcher. Carl Tuffy Rhodes of the Cubs with 5 career home runs hit 3 more on opening day. Just days later, the Dodgers demolished Pittsburgh 19-2 with Corey Snyder. Yes, we mean Corey, not Duke, hitting 3 homers. 186 homers launched in the first week of the season. Was the pitching that poor? Not if you count the 2 no-hitters thrown in baseball's first month of play. But only Lone Ranger Kenny Rogers found perfection in this imperfect season, setting down 27 straight against California.
Greer there, he's got it, a perfect game! Oh, baby, Kenny Rogers pitches the 11th perfect game in Major League history.
In Cleveland, a new ballpark, a new attitude, and a trio of young stars pushed the Tribe to an 18-game win streak at home. But despite that breakneck pace, the white-hot Sox made it difficult to keep up with their formidable quartet of starters, and one big hurt.
When I'm stepping into that batter's box, they know I'm there.
As Frank hammers this one into right center field, get up, way back, it is gone! Uh-oh, way back, get up, it's gone! 3-run homer, the big hurt!
As one opposing player remarked, pitchers shouldn't be left out there alone with him. It wasn't all greatness. Over in the woeful West, the Rangers clung to a 3-game lead at the All-Star break, despite their 42-45 record. But demonstrating how the West was wonderful was the kid they called Junior.
Whoa! He decided to challenge him, and that was not a good idea. There's a shot. Center field, Ken Griffey going back. He makes a terrific over-the-shoulder catch.
Griffey is he's in a league of his own.
Junior with a high drive to deep right field. Gone!
For one player to have that kind of impact, that's pretty damn good impact.
You say that about Griffey, but here comes Frank Thomas. Here comes Albert Bell.
here comes Matt Williams out of nowhere.
One guy in each league going for a Triple Crown, that just doesn't happen.
Over in the National League, the heavily favored Braves were being left in the dust by the no-name Expos. While in the Central and West, the assault on baseball's record book continued.
My theory is if he comes in that box, I know I can hit it.
A hitting machine named Tony Gwynn made a serious bid to become the first man since Ted Williams to hit 400 over a season.
That guy can flat out hit.
Houston's Jeff Bagwell and the Giants' Matt Williams hammered away at Roger Maris's single-season home run record.
Frank and Jeff Bagwell were going for it, and it was within reach. And Ken Griffey with all the home runs, and Tony Gwynn going for 400.
Baseball had the whole country sitting on the edge of its seat.
And Bonds hits it high and deep to right field, and this baby is
gone. Just like that, on August 12th, the players struck, and the death knell sounded for the season, for the record pace, and for the first time since 1904, the World Series.
I would love to see the game be played out to its conclusion, to see how many home runs Matt Williams hit, to see if Tony Gwynn could hit 400, to see if anybody could win a Triple Crown.
All those guys were having great years. No, that's a shame.
And I really believe this was our year to be in the World Series. And I'll just pull right from under us.
I don't think there are any good guys in this. It's like the old Buffalo Springfield song, you know, nobody's right if everybody's wrong. And everybody's wrong here.
Gone were the hopes of the long-suffering tribe and the hopes of players like Don Mattingly, baseball's long-burning star, having never brightened a postseason. Gone, too, were the dreams of baseball fans around the country for a moment like the one that ended last year's World Series.
Well hit down the left field line, way back and
This used to be, after all, what baseball was all about. After the lights went out on baseball, the start of the hockey season was put off in another labor dispute. A strike or lockout almost derailed the NBA as well, while in the NFL, players grumbled about a new deal that sent some veterans into forced retirement.
This is a day of almost overwhelming sadness.
As sports in '94 moved from the playing fields to the courtrooms, some of the greats decided it was time to say goodbye. When we look back on 1994 with its strikes, lockouts, and empty stadiums, it won't be a pleasant memory for many sports fans. But towering above the broken seasons and unrealized dreams are the stellar, stunning achievements of those who play the games we love.
Fly ball left field. Alex Cole coming in. Meters going out. Cole has it. Erickson has his no-hitter. Now Chavez going to the head. Down goes Taylor. Julio Cesar Chavez is still the champion. He has won the rematch.
It's from about 75 feet. Hello. Can you believe it?
He is going all the way and hopefully will break this record. He's checking the board. He knows. Noureddin Morsalim with the world record.
Unbelievable.
Young wants to throw. And he is looking for Jerry. And Rice is there. And he's into the end zone. He's done it. Jerry Rice is the touchdown scorer of
the century. Incredible. Give it to David. Grabbed by Ellis. Double team by Woods. Takes the jumper. Yes! 71 for David Robinson.
Julie Crone aboard, has the lead by a length and a half. The entry mates are 1-2, they come for the line. Julie Crone returned yesterday. Today she returns to the winner's circle.
Here's the shot, Charlotte Smith. Charlotte Smith makes the shot of her young life.
Swinging a drive into the gap in left center field. And up against the fence. This could do it. Being waved home is Gwynn. They got a play to Rodriguez. Safe. And the 6-game drought is over for the National League.
Lets it go. He's got 3 people down there. The ball's up in the air. Caught. Touchdown. Caught by Westbrook for a touchdown.
Yes, we remember it well.
Incredible.
Yeah, if I had to pick one moment that I'll remember all year, or for probably years to come, it's Jansen after he finally won his race.
Michael Jordan retiring, and Michael Jordan coming and play baseball. I think those two together had to be the biggest moment.
The biggest moment for me, and I'm not trying to stick daggers all over my body, was Scotty Thurman's shot.
When Scotty Thurman threw in that shot, I think we had our biggest moment of the season.
It was a great moment when I saw the Rangers win the Stanley Cup. You know, I was right downstairs.
Called the New York Knicks. I just thought it was amazing.
The United States beating Colombia in the World Cup, I think that was a defining moment.
Just the critical mass that soccer achieved this summer.
To me, the biggest story is the home runs. Guys being able to hit home runs and almost seemingly at will.
Beating Giants in the Meadowlands and watching Emmett lay his guts out for the program.
To see Bonnie Blair continue to dominate everything.
I probably think the indictment of O.J. Simpson on 2 counts of murder.
O.J. Simpson's arrest. I think it's the last blow to the idea of the virtuous athlete.
Well, it'd have to be Jimmy's departure.
Valley Ranch was not big enough for the 2 of them, and one of them had to go, and it wasn't going to be Jerry.
So if there was something bigger than that, I missed it because I was in Maui somewhere.